And once again, we return to the Chicago suburbs.
Yes.
John Hughes rides for the road for the Chicago suburbs.
Yeah. Shermer, Illinois, which isn't a real place.
That's like me in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I go hard for New Jersey.
It's true.
New Jersey is the best state in the United States.
You tried to convince my dad and brother of that, and they've lived in New Jersey for like 40 years, and they're both like,
haters.
No.
First of all, anyone who doesn't believe it's a hater, New Jersey is the best in education, K-12, top 5 in healthcare, top 5 in low crime. Okay? They got diverse people, diverse geographically. We got diners. We got Springsteen. We got The Sopranos.
And this episode's about Chicago.
New Jersey. Sponsored by New Jersey. Higher taxes? Yeah, because you get so much. Okay. We have like really good maternity, paternity leave stuff too. Okay. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
And this is Baby's First Watch List, the New Jersey podcast.
We're back, baby.
Where we watch movies and talk about them with the illusion of creating a list for our kid to watch eventually.
We have a list of 43 movies. We'll see if we'll add a 44th to that
We
list.
will see. I mean, the suspense is killing me.
Yeah.
Today we are discussing the winner of the Molly Ringwald-Off. That's hard thing
We
to
never
say.
came up with a better name for it. I think that was a placeholder name.
That's a good name. It's
It doesn't
just difficult to say.
I was going to say it's the opposite of like flying off the tongue.
Yeah. Molly Ringwald-Off. It's 1985's The Breakfast Club, which of course won with like
Yeah.
1 billion%.
Yeah,
of
it had
the
like
vote.
it had like 70%.
Good for that. That's the one I wanted to win. I've seen all 3. This is by far the best. By far the one that holds up the most. Too.
I've seen none of them.
Well,
Now I have. Yeah.
This teen classic was written and directed by John Hughes. We have done many a John Hughes episode. If you don't know him, he created lots of
How
good
many did
80s
we do?
movies.
We did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Did we do another?
Yeah, we did Christmas Vacation.
Oh, yeah, right.
We're going to do Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Home Alone.
We're going to, we did
wrote
Home Alone. Did we do Home Alone?
No.
We're going to do that one.
He wrote it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Chris Columbus directed
Mhm.
it. He did, all of those Molly Ringwald ones. He did Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Uncle Buck.
He did St. Elmo's Fire.
Yep.
He did it all, man. So this movie, what?
No, nothing. We'll talk about it.
Okay. It stars Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Anthony Michael Hall, and Paul Gleason. And there was like one other guy.
The janitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also notable from the crew, editor Dee Dee Allen. So she was like a superstar editor. She also did Bonnie and Clyde, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Reds, and Wonder Boys.
She's a Pacino head.
Big
Couple
Pacino
Pacinos
girl.
in there.
Yeah, she worked with like certain directors a lot, and she was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. The music was done by Keith Forsey, who worked on, ready for this? Oh, wait till you hear what Forsey did, man. He did the music for Flashdance.
Okay.
So that song won an Oscar.
Sure.
Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, and The Never-Ending Story.
80s legend.
He was a big Billy Idol guy. And then
Who isn't?
in the 2000s, he produced for the band Rooney, who I loved back in the day because
Were they like Haim?
no, the lead singer was Jason Schwartzman's brother.
Oh, yeah,
who
yeah,
was in
yeah,
the
yeah,
Princess Diaries.
Yep.
And a little extra 80s fun fact here. Their name is based on the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off character's name.
Fun fact about Billy Idol.
Mm-hmm.
He was originally supposed to do Don't You Forget About Me.
Which would make sense because this guy was involved. Keith Forsey.
And Billy Idol, he recorded it in 2001 or something for a Greatest Hits album.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and then Neverending Story has that one song that was on like Dance Dance Revolution. Or
Yeah,
something.
and it's referenced a billion times in Stranger Things and stuff like that.
Totally. Is that David Bowie? Is he in it?
Never Ending Story?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
He was in Labyrinth.
Yes, that's correct.
But I don't know anything.
I don't think he was in Neverending Story.
Just made that up. With a phenomenal...
Yeah, you made that up.
Okay. With a phenomenal runtime of 97 minutes.
Which we still had to break up into 2 sittings.
We still both fell asleep.
Not because of the movie at all.
Just because we were too busy winning at trivia.
Oh yeah,
again.
we did it after we dominated some.
Again, we didn't dominate.
Some seniors.
No, we
trivia.
didn't dominate. We literally just bet a really good strategic betting of the amount of money.
Listen,
or points.
Every win is domination.
We got $10 to Wawa. That's pretty good.
$20 combined.
Yeah.
Stay tuned next week when we eat our free Wawa on air.
What's your Wawa order? You don't really have one.
I'm not a Wawa fanatic like that. I don't have a specific order.
Well, maybe we'll go in there like we own the place, like we won the Toys R Us shopping spree.
Just flashing the
Being like, yeah, I got $10 here. The Breakfast Club was a commercial and critical success, making, this is pretty incredible, $51.5 million on a $1 million budget.
I was going to say it couldn't have cost that much money.
Nobody
the actors weren't big. It was one set.
Yeah. They had to build the set.
That is true. That's probably where most of the money went. Marketing and paying Simple Minds.
Yeah.
Simple Minds should have got $1 million at least.
Oh, easily. They did from the aftermath of this.
Yeah.
Filming of the movie started in late March 1984, and Hughes decided to shoot it concurrently with 1986's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, even sharing some settings.
I find them to be sister films.
They're very interesting. They're very
together.
Similar.
Ferris Bueller is like a fantasy version of this movie.
Yeah, the tone is a lot lighter.
Yeah.
And they shared some settings at the closed high school. So it was a high school that had closed in like 81.
Yeah.
And so they filmed some stuff.
He had another couple of movies. I don't know if it was at the same set, but that were filmed in the same, that were at Shermer, Illinois, which is not a real place. He had like 4 or 5 movies. Like, I think St. Elmo's Fire maybe was there.
That's like a college-y movie. Yeah.
There was a bunch that were set in Shermer.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Well, I love that. What it actually is there's a zip code for his Shermer the town. That zip code is a different town, but it was originally called Shermerville way back in the day.
It's awesome.
So it's not the real town, but it's a reference to the real town, which is kind of cool.
I really love that actually. After
there may be some interference on the microphone, by the way, because there's a huge thunderstorm outside right now. It's like
kind of cool.
It's pouring, so
I love that.
That's what all that tapping is if you hear it. Because I'm going to be way too lazy to edit that out. So
this is soundscapes.
Yeah,
think of it as your own personal hatch machine.
Yes, it's Breakfast Club ASMR.
It's your Qualm app for free. So
you could pay us if you want, but
yeah, our Venmos are open. They only did 3 weeks of rehearsals, the cast together. I don't know if that's a lot or not. I'm saying only. I don't know.
Apparently he wrote this in 2 days.
Oh, okay. Slay. So there were 3 weeks of rehearsals, and then the Breakfast Club was filmed like in order, sequentially, if you will.
Yeah.
Sequentially, if you're taking from the Wikipedia page.
Yes.
I changed it to in order, with the first print reaching 150 minutes. Like, who do you think you are, Scorsese?
I read that. Well, no, Scorsese would be like
500 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
The movie was released in late February 1985 with mostly positive reviews, but not like stellar.
Glowing.
Yeah.
Ebert gave it a 3 out of 4.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like
I read
some
his
people
review.
did not like it.
I read his review was kind of like milk toast. There wasn't anything like. I have a couple little beats from it.
A lot of people said that it wasn't doing anything new, which I disagree.
I think that it's a shallow interpretation to say it's not doing anything new.
Yeah, I agree with you. The poster shot, this is really cool. Often referenced in pop culture.
Because it's them in like a huddle, right?
It's like the 5 of them all doing different poses, but all together. It was shot by Annie Leibovitz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, how cool is that? Who is a very, 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 very famous photographer. So if you don't know, you're a loser. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, there goes our last 4 listeners.
I hate when people say that, like, oh, it was filmed by someone who's very famous, and it's like, if you don't know who that is, you feel like a dumb.
We've done that before. We've said like, oh, this person's very famous.
Yeah, and then I feel like, oh my god, did I make people feel bad?
Nobody's listening to this.
Because I'm literally like, you're such a loser if you don't know who this is. You're not a loser. Well, you might be. You might be, but it's not for that
It's not
reason.
causally related to that.
Exactly. Above the shot was a tagline that was not only a horrible tagline, but also just like a not factually correct tagline for the movie. They only met once, but it changed their lives forever. That's not true. They all went to the same school. They knew who each other were.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So it like doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and also there's no like indication that it changed their lives forever.
It has nothing to do with the movie.
It's funny because for something that its entire premise is that it takes place on one day, those are far-reaching consequences for this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like they did anything that was like life-changing. They just had a good talk.
Yeah.
Which is great, but like I'm talking about in terms of the tagline, like come on.
It's a terrible tagline. After the movie was released, the lead actors became known as part of the Brat Pack, which was like a great name, of course. Oh, I don't mean of course if you don't know, but it's losers if you don't know. It's a reference to the Rat Pack from like the 50s or whatever.
Like Sinatra, Sammy Davis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dean Martin, who I swore was going to be an answer at trivia because it was like old people trivia, and it wasn't.
But we did get Caroline Kennedy's horse.
Yeah, macaroni.
If you ever,
which we did not get that answer.
Yeah.
We put sunshine.
Yep.
And we got a Mr. Ed reference.
Yep. If you don't know who that is, you're stupid.
You are stupid. It's a horse, of course.
Okay.
Okay. The Simple Minds song "Don't You" in parentheses "Forget About Me" from the soundtrack became a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
It's also a #1 hit in my heart.
It's a great song, and it is the best movie song of all time.
It's been stuck in my head for like a week.
It is confirmed.
And that we watched the movie yesterday and today.
The movie itself is now considered a teen classic. It was chosen for preservation by the Library of Congress. We're really good at choosing those.
Yeah, we're big Library of Congress heads.
Yeah, in 2016, it was listed as number 38 on Empire's 500 Greatest Movies of All Time list. It was on the New York Times list of Best 1,000 Movies Ever, and it is #1 on Entertainment Weekly's Best High School Movies list.
It's also on the whatever guy did the 1,001 movies to see before you die.
Oh, there you go. Which I think they might have turned that into a Bravo series back in like the days. No, that might have been like 101 horror movie moments, something like that. Whatever.
Listicles were popular even then.
I loved that stuff. So that's The Breakfast Club. I saw it back in high school. I missed a lot because when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, I didn't remember that was in there. So that's cool. Like, it's always good when things go over your head a little bit when you're watching it when you're young. So it's your first time watching this one.
It is.
Congrats, you did it.
It won't be my last time.
It's really good. I really like that opening part where you have the 5 characters when they're all entering and you kind of see their relationship with their parents. And
that's what the movie's about. That's the entire core of the movie.
Good. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us our summary. It's probably short.
It's relatively short. So, The Breakfast Club. It begins with a quote by David Bowie from the song Changes, which is a great, it's a very apropos song for this movie. And the quote is, "And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through." And then, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, glass shatters. And then, that's not a joke. And we start to see the kids filing.
This is Austin 360.
Okay. So it's Saturday, March 24th, 1984. 5 students at Shermer High School report at 7 a.m. for an all-day detention.
Too early.
Way too early for the teacher.
All day too. Like
all day. This is like torture.
It's not like Saturday school. It's like all-day detention.
Yeah. So we've got socially awkward Brian Johnson, played by Anthony Michael Hall. We have volatile wrestler Andrew Clark, played by Emilio Estevez. We have shy loner Allison Reynolds, played by Ali Sheedy. Popular snob Claire Standish, played by Molly Ringwald. And rebellious delinquent John Bender.
These are great names.
Played by Judd Nelson. In a voiceover, the 5 are described respectively as a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal.
I know some of these names are a little creative.
Yeah. The group gathers in the school library where Vice Principal Richard Vernon, I forgot, what's his name? Paul Gleason, the actor? He warns them not to talk, move from their seats, or sleep until they are released at 4 p.m. What are they supposed to do all day? I know he gives them the essay.
Essay, 1,000-word
He gives
minimum
them
essay.
Do you know how many pages that is?
I don't know.
He gives them a 1,000-word essay in which each must describe who do you think you are. That's all they're supposed to do all day? They can't.
That's where Christina Perri got chore parts from. And who do you think you are?
Vernon leaves, returning only occasionally to check on and verbally reprimand them. John ignores the rules and spends most of his time bullying or harassing Claire, Brian, and Andrew.
Ew, you're calling him John?
Bender?
Yeah.
Having a completely hostile relationship with the principal, John defiantly talks to
Bender
and insults Vernon, which results in Bender receiving not 1, not 2, but 8 weekends worth of additional detention.
That was a good scene.
Well, it's a good scene too because it's like he doesn't want to be home.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
You know? Well, he actively doesn't want to be home because he's being abused.
Number 1, he doesn't do that. Number 2, listen, there are many children in school who will literally say whatever just to be annoying.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's part of it. But there's obviously the undercurrent
it's deeper than that.
Of
like
abuse,
you think,
yeah.
oh my god, he's just being like that.
And he is, but he's not.
Right. It's good.
Shortly thereafter, the 5 sneak out of the library to retrieve some items from John's locker. When they see Vernon is returning to the library, Bender deliberately gets caught while the others sneak back in. Vernon locks Bender in a storage closet as punishment.
Yeah, not recommended.
No, but he escapes and returns to the library by crawling through the ceiling panels and then falling through them. Vernon investigates, and the others help Bender hide and make up reasons for the noise. The students pass the time by talking, arguing, listening to music, and sitting in a circle, engaging in other team-building activities.
Perfect.
Gradually, they open up and reveal their secrets and their poor relationships with their parents. Claire's popularity suggests her to intense peer pressure, and her parents use her to get back at each other during arguments. She is in detention because she skipped school to go shopping. Bender's father is physically and verbally abusive to him and his mother, and according to Vernon, was in detention for pulling a false fire alarm. Andrew is unable to think for himself as his father intimidates him to succeed in wrestling and to view any form of weakness with contempt. Andrew was sent to detention for taping another weaker student's butt together in order to look superior and
like
win his
hazing.
father's approval. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian is under such pressure from his parents to get good grades that he contemplated self-harm after getting an F in woodshop class. He was sent to detention for bringing a flare gun to school for that purpose, and his parents are apparently not bothered by the attempt.
Yeah, that's sad.
Allison is a compulsive liar with neglectful parents and constantly steals random items for usage should she ever decide to run away from home. She admits that, towards the end of the movie, she merely showed up to detention for lack of anything better to do,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
They all realize that, despite their different personalities and cliques, they all face similar problems. Meanwhile, throughout, Vernon complains to the janitor, Carl, that students today are less disciplined than they were earlier in his teaching career. Carl tells Vernon that he's the only one who has changed and that the students don't care what he thinks of them, and they never have, and they never will.
Mm-hmm.
Claire gives Allison a makeover, which sparks romantic interest from Andrew.
The most 80s thing
The
ever.
stupidest part of the whole movie. Claire decides to break her pristine, innocent appearance by kissing Bender. Although suspecting their new relationships will end when detention is over, they believe their mutual experiences will change the way they look at their peers, in the sense that they won't look at people like each other the same way ever again. As the detention nears its end, the group requests that Brian completes the assigned essay for everyone, and
showing that not everything
changed.
changes.
And Bender returns to the storage closet so that Vernon thinks he never left. Brian leaves the essay in the library for Vernon to read after they leave. As the students part ways, Allison and Andrew kiss, as do Claire and Bender. Allison rips Andrew's state championship patch from his varsity jacket to keep, and Claire gives Bender one of her diamond earrings. As Vernon reads the essay, Brian writes how the principal has used stereotypes to make petty judgments of them, and states that, quote, each one of us is a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question? He signs the essay with, sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club. As Bender walks home through the school's football field with Don't You Forget About Me playing, he triumphantly pumps his fist in the air. Freeze frame. Credits.
Freeze frame.
The Breakfast Club. John Hughes' famous freeze frame. Classic legend.
It's kind of interesting that he has the same name as Bender.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was like, yo, I wish I was him.
He was in the movie.
John Hughes was?
Yeah.
Who was he?
He plays Brian's dad when he drops him off.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
there were actually, on that note, there were only 11 characters in the whole movie.
it's like nuts.
Like counting all the randos that you
But
see in the
really,
beginning.
there's only 7.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I put here, just FYI, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I used to get Judd Nelson and Judd Hirsch mixed up.
That's like me getting Emil Hirsch and Judd Hirsch mixed up.
Just doesn't make sense.
They're decades apart in age.
They did like nothing similar in their careers.
Half century apart.
Just bizarre.
Judd Hirsch is like 90 years old.
Yeah, and was in Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I knew one of them got an Oscar nomination this year.
Yeah. Should have been Nelson, probably. No.
What was he in?
I don't know.
Which character do you think would be the most fun to play?
Well, okay. There's the 2 obvious ones. There's Bender, because he's just like, he gets all the fun lines.
Yeah.
He's chewing the scenery.
He gets to fall down stuff. Yeah.
Allison is also great.
Yeah.
Those would be my 2, but I have a soft spot for Brian.
Brian's
Anthony
great.
Michael Hall is my favorite in this movie.
He is so good.
His like deer in headlights look the entire movie is so great.
So if you watch 16 Candles, which came out the year before, he plays sort of like a rascal type, but like just like that, like nerdy, inexperienced, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But just more like willing to get in trouble sort of stuff. And this one, he's like the kid who's like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, he has my favorite line in the whole movie.
What is it?
It's the when Andrew finds his fake ID, and he says, "This is the worst fake ID I've ever seen. Do you realize you made yourself 68 years old? Why do you need a fake ID anyway?" And then Brian just goes, "So I can vote."
It's so good.
That was apparently improv, that line.
So good. Anthony Michael Hall king.
Yeah, I mean that I cracked up at that line.
You're like an Anthony Michael Hall stan now.
In 1985 at least.
Yeah. I think he still does stuff all the time.
I saw him. He was in like The Dark Knight. He was in like random stuff that I've seen.
He was big in the 80s.
He was huge.
He had a moment.
He's one of the people I associate with the 80s, and this is
too.
like the first thing I've ever seen him in. From then.
So, how big do you think this school is? And what's your evidence?
I think it's pretty big.
I think so too.
Because they don't really know each other. So like my school, my graduating class was something like 493 people. So it was like close to 500 people.
Yeah.
And I knew everybody. I knew everybody, pretty much everybody in my class's name.
Yeah.
At least. I think this school's bigger than that.
I had a large class in my high school, and we graduated with 118 people.
Yeah.
So I went to a really small high school. I teach at a very, very, very small high school, like half that size.
All of these kids are in the same grade, right? It's like
that's what I presume.
I would imagine.
I know why it's a very large high school.
Why?
They have a Latin club.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
Fair
Did
enough.
your school teach Latin?
I don't think so.
Mine certainly. We had Spanish and French.
I think we only had Spanish and French as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. But we went to college with a bunch of people that like had a lot of other depending. But yeah, if there's a Latin club, come on.
You would know better than I would.
Yeah. It's a big school. Plus
it's a Chicago suburb. I'm sure there's a decent amount of people.
The library also is ginormous.
Massive, yeah.
And there's like you can
2
climb
floors.
steps. Yeah.
First
of all,
they're like dancing
the fact
on
that
the steps.
there's 2 floors is amazing.
My school had 2 floors.
Mine,
but our library wasn't that big.
The new high school we had did not have 2 floors. Only had 1. But then you tried to tell freshmen that it did, but the pool was on the second floor.
Yeah, we had that too.
And they tried to go find the pool.
Yep.
Stupid. We did not have a pool at my school. Did you have a pool?
No.
Did you? But you had a swim team.
We did.
We did not.
They would go off.
Yeah. We didn't even have a bowling team.
We did.
Yeah, we didn't have anything.
The bowling squad at my high school.
We didn't have lacrosse. We didn't have anything.
Bowling squad at my high school was a crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were tight.
We didn't have golf. Did you have golf?
Yes.
What the?
I didn't play either of them.
We didn't have wrestling. Did you have wrestling?
Yes. Our wrestling team I think was pretty good.
What? Did you have lacrosse?
No.
Okay. Lacrosse, I
weren't
think,
that
is
white.
for rich people. Okay. Okay, so I just wrote no in response to one quote. Do you know what that is? I had like a visceral reaction.
When you grow up, your heart dies.
No.
That's like one of the famous ones.
Yeah,
No.
that's a good one. But no, Bender says to Claire, being bad feels pretty good, huh? No. I have never done something that was like wrong or bad and felt good about it.
On that
ever
note,
in my life.
On that note, you never had detention, did you?
Never.
Not a lunch detention?
No.
Nothing?
Oh, Tom, no. Are you joking?
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that publicly.
I never got in trouble in my life.
I had detention a couple times.
What did you do?
One time I got into a fight with my friend.
Like what
like
kind
a fist
of fight?
fight.
You punched somebody?
Yeah, I got into a scuffle, let's say.
At school?
Yeah, it was middle school. And the other
Wow,
time...
bad boy.
The other time it was how I created a lifelong friendship. Did I ever tell you this?
I don't know.
With Jeff?
What'd you do?
So we would do this thing in gym in like, I don't know, I guess it must have been like 7th or 8th grade. And middle school me was, Bender vibes over here.
Yeah, right.
We would do this thing where we would just like slap each other on the back as we went through. It was just the guys, obviously.
Of course.
And my friend Jeff we were like knew each other, but we weren't like friends yet. And I want to say it was 8th grade. I don't know. He would know. And I did it to him, and like he was like, whatever, and like because he didn't see it coming. So later on that day, I guess I got called to the principal. Somebody came in and was like, "Oh, we're giving you detention because
you
because
assaulted
the
him.
gym teacher saw when he was changing, which is
He hit like a mark.
that he had like a 5-star on his
Yeah.
back, and he was like, "Oh, who did that to you?" And Jeff just like said me, but he like didn't even realize. It wasn't like he was like trying to rat me out.
Haha.
Yeah. So I got detention for that, and Jeff and I have been friends ever since.
After school detention? Or like lunch detention. Lunch detention is like nothing.
No, I think it was after school.
Wow, that's pretty
No,
harsh.
no, I think I got lunch detention for that and detention for the fight.
That.
Because
That's about right.
I had after school once.
Oh my God, I would have cried. I would have cried forever. I'm trying to think of a time where I got even in trouble.
I don't know.
Maybe for reading too much when we'd moved on to something else. I hate when kids do that now. Like they just like ignore me when I'm like, okay, next thing, and they're just like reading their book, like, nah. All right. So, like you mentioned in the summary, it ends with 2 romances, 2 blossoming beginnings of something.
I have comments about this.
You have Bender and Claire, right?
Yes.
The criminal and the princess.
Yes.
And then you have Andrew and Allison, who are the athlete, the jock,
and the basket
case, who I guess now would be just like the weirdo.
The goth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is anybody going to last?
No.
All right, tell me.
Well, first of all, Andrew and Allison are based on a falsehood. That's not who Allison is.
Oh, yeah, because you got her makeover.
Yeah.
And she's wearing like less eyeliner.
Yeah, and
like has a headband.
It just goes over to Andrew, and he's sitting on like a table or something. He's just like, and then he like slides off the table and he like looks at her.
You look different.
Yeah. Bad
different or good different? Good.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Andrew's a dud, first of all.
Andrew, I thought Andrew was a compelling character actually, but he would be a dud in real life.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relationship.
But I found him to be a very interesting character.
He was my least favorite of the 5.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be.
I guess. But yeah, I mean, they're not built on truth. And on the other hand, Claire and Bender are built on too much truth. Also, he does things in this movie that are extremely inappropriate.
Well, Molly Ringwald, I know,
came out and said
an essay in the wake of Me Too about it.
Yeah, and she was like, that wasn't okay. But she still like watches the movie with her kids.
Characters.
She's like, the movie is great. Like she still like enjoys the movie and like shows it to her kids and everything.
Her daughter, she mentioned.
But yeah, she was like that. It wasn't ideal that like he was like under the table.
There
her
was
table.
harassment, almost even into
Yes.
assault there. Yeah.
And he still ends up with her and everything's fine and he gets his freeze frame and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's certainly certain aspects did not
I
age
can
well at all.
like any Hughes movie.
Yeah, of course.
Almost any Hughes movie.
Almost all of them.
Except for like the softball comedies like your Uncle Buck and Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Even then,
there's a little
there's
bit.
a couple,
There's a little
yeah.
bit. Ferris Bueller, but not as much as I feel like his teen stuff does.
Oh my God, you can't wait to watch Ferris Bueller, I bet.
I mean, yeah, I like
Do you
Ferris
know
Bueller.
why?
Why? Because of Alan Ruck?
Yeah.
My guy, Connor Roy. Happily married Connor Roy.
Ferris Bueller, you're my hero.
I love when he like can't talk and he's just like...
Yes, so good. I love Ferris Bueller.
Also, I had Speed on the other day and he was in that too.
He's great in that.
Yeah.
He's like such a square.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Shout out Alan Ruck.
Love Alan Ruck. I'm so glad he got his career renaissance going.
Yes. But
give him the Emmy.
I think that those two are not good for each other.
So you don't think either relationship will last?
No, and I think that's sort of the point. Well, maybe not based on the tagline, but I think that...
Oh, yeah. I don't think either relationship is going to happen.
I think that
at all.
I think that John Hughes had, at least in this movie, and this is kind of what Ebert says, like John Hughes has such a handle on teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Like just how they kind of talked at the time and stuff like that, that I think he understands that nothing's happening. Nothing's going to happen here. And the kids understand that too. They say it.
Mm-hmm.
But the tagline is what throws me off here. But I guess that's just marketing. Like John Hughes probably wasn't like, oh, we got to make this the tagline.
There's no way. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, this is meant to be fleeting and it's meant to be just a blip in the radar and all that. And not going to change everything, but it's going to maybe twist your perspective a little bit.
Yeah. You know what? It is cool because there are certain events in high school where there's like just a couple of people that you had that experience with and
that you weren't necessarily the closest of friends with.
Exactly. And then like you might not be friends after that either, but you always had that experience. Like I think about there were 4 of us in Art 101 and I was not friends with any of them.
Yeah.
Like I knew all of them, but whatever. But we were the only freshmen in the class and we had the best time of my life. And it was so much fun. And 2 of them were really, really, really good at art. And then I was not one of those 2.
Yeah, I figured.
And it was so much fun. And then after that, we all went our separate ways. But like you have that shared experience, which is like, which is just the fist up in the air freeze frame.
Yep.
You know? And unfortunately, one of them passed away a couple years ago. And like I was really sad. I was really torn up about it because it's just like you have that shared moment when you're freaking 14 years old, right?
Yep.
And it's really, and you know, you don't expect to keep in touch or whatever, but you still had that like kind of momentous like time in your life,
something that left a mark on you.
It's so I found that to be kind of the main theme of the movie, and it's just it rings so true to me.
I think that Hughes taps into, he's a very unique writer. He's very good with forging connections between people rather than characters. So like think of Candy and Martin in Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. Those are 2 people who in real life they probably wouldn't, Steve Martin would hate him the whole time. There would be no come together at the end and we're friends now. But he does such a good job. Hughes does such a good job of creating premises and situations that bring people together while being completely consistent with real personalities.
Right.
I find that there's not a lot of directors who are able to do that in a way where it's an entertaining movie and it's not just like this movie's talky, but it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they interact with each other. I just think he's so good at finding jumping back to Succession, this is something that I find so successful about that show is like Hughes and the Succession writers both understand the people behind their characters so well and how they tick and how they operate. And they just know how to combine those things together.
It's all about characterization, baby.
I mean, in my opinion, seriously, like character drives everything else.
Yeah, I think so.
In the best works of art, whether it's a a book, a movie, TV show, even music. If you're doing like a storytelling kind of thing, if you're like a Bob Dylan, like the character is the first thing. The narrator in a movie, in a song, or the characters are. George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote like all the Game of Thrones books, or at least 5 of however many he's supposed to write, he always said that he didn't come up with like plots. He was like, this is what my characters are. I have a little bit of an idea of where I want to go with them, but I just let the characters go, and wherever they end up, they end up.
That's what like a genius says.
Right. I can't do that.
I can't do that.
I'm like, I'm doing the bubbles with the web, the plot web and all that, the roller coaster.
Okay, so now that you've seen this one, this is considered one of John Hughes's like big ones, right? Where would you rank it in the John Hughes movies that you have seen? Where would you slot it in? That's tough.
It is tough. As of now, Ferris Bueller's still my number 1.
Me too.
I think this is probably a better movie than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, but you have the nostalgia factor.
But I don't even have. that was the first time I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, really?
When we covered it.
Okay, he just loves Thanksgiving.
I just connect with John Candy so much that I think that's my second favorite.
I mean,
but I think this movie's better. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So I'll probably put it 3rd.
Okay, that's good. That's not bad. It's bronze.
With room to improve, I would say though.
How about this?
Future watches.
My last question. As I mentioned earlier, this was ranked number 1 on Entertainment Weekly's Best High School Movies list. Do you agree with that? And if not, what movie would you put ahead of it?
I can see why.
Okay.
It was ranked number 1 because to me it's
the quintessential high school movie.
Yeah, it's not like we've kind of talked about. It doesn't necessarily reinvent the wheel, but everything that it does is so like deep and there's thoughtful.
And it's spot on.
It takes stereotypes and it's like it creates a little bit of nuance to the stereotypes, which is hard to do when you have something that is an idea or a concept that people have expectations from, to sort of subvert those without being hokey.
I don't believe in the whole idea of that, like, oh, there's stereotypes for a reason all the time.
No.
But in high school, there are certain like cliques and cliches that do make sense. Like when Andrew, the jock, pulls out like a huge lunch with like all kinds of stuff, like that tracks to me, right? So like you do still,
when Bender doesn't have a lunch,
right?
Yeah.
So when Bender wears fingerless gloves,
yes, right.
Like when Allison's like super into art, that makes sense to me. Like, and it's not like a good or bad thing, but those stereotypes in this particular case are reinforced in some kind of superficial ways and then subverted on more deeper levels. And I think that's a really, really smart way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's very difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah. To do it in a way that feels not hokey.
Right. Part of this movie felt hokey, but it was like the stupid stuff, like the makeover and things like that was kind of stupid.
Those became movie cliches kind of a little bit later on.
Yeah.
These kind of started that. Like She's All That is all based on that kind of premise. Right. So is there a high school movie that you would rank higher?
It depends on what. Are we talking about my favorite high school movies?
Here's the thing, though. Don't say Scream, because were you going to say Scream?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. I think this is my personal opinion, and I think it's a correct opinion.
Okay.
A high school movie needs to primarily take place or have a plot point that is very specifically about high school.
Well, the director in Scream is in the school. He's the janitor.
I don't care. That doesn't count.
Well, no, that's not what I was thinking of. The two that immediately, because we kind of did everything today, so we didn't give each other questions beforehand, so I didn't have any time to like go through anything.
Yeah, just go off the top of your head.
The two that came to my head were one that we just talked about, which was Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Is up there. I love Lady Bird.
That's a good one.
And I can't remember the other one.
To me, like...
Then there's there's all the comedy, like Superbad. There's so many.
I think of Mean Girls. When I think of
Mean
a
Girls,
high
that's the
school
other one I
movie,
was thinking of. That's the other one I think of Mean Girls.
I think Mean Girls is one of the best movies of this century so far.
I don't, but go off.
I do. I think that it's a perfect encapsulation.
It's really good
of its genre. I love it. I think it's extremely well written.
It is.
I think that it is extremely well acted.
Go listen to our Mean Girls episode. It was
I
like
love
our
Mean
fourth
Girls.
one or something.
Yeah, I love Mean Girls. It is endlessly quotable.
Yeah.
It is an amazing movie, and it's very high school.
It didn't hit me to me there was nothing there that was something that I really think about afterwards, which just doesn't have to be.
What about Danny DeVito? I love your work.
Yeah. Okay, there's some good stuff in there. No, I really like Mean Girls. I'm not. It's just not. It's not one of my favorites.
Like, to me, Mean Girls is probably my number one high school movie.
Okay. Just for like being high school or your favorite?
Everything.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite is.
Easy A is also way
Easy
up
A's
there,
up there.
but Easy A picks a lot from The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, well, of course, like intentionally.
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Can you put that above it?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could do whatever you want.
I mean, I could do whatever.
Nothing matters.
But I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. There's other. So I just popped it into Google. A couple other ones that came up are Clueless.
Oh, wait. Clueless might be my favorite. Shoot.
Immediately, the first one I said.
Clueless is like my favorite movie.
Dazed and Confused.
Didn't see that yet, but I know I'm going to love it.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
That was actually pretty good.
That was a good one. I like that one. I'm on the Rotten Tomatoes list now.
I like the movie more than I even like the book, to be honest with you.
Booksmart's a good one.
Booksmart's a great
More
one.
recent one. Back to the Future.
That I don't count really as much.
Because it's not really, yeah.
I know that.
What about Edge of 17?
Yes, I would count
I
that.
really like that one. Yeah, no, so that's what about Carrie? Heathers.
Oh, wait, Heathers is a really good
There's
one.
a bunch of really good ones.
Oh, no, wait.
There's a bunch of really, really good ones.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there's
genre.
I'm not going to name everyone on the list, but there's even going down this list, there's so many.
Heathers is
wait a minute. What about 21 Jump Street?
Does that count?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I guess part of being a high school movie is that it's sort of
about high schoolers.
A little bit of coming of age.
It is though.
Kind of, but a later age.
Like 30.
But
coming of age to 30.
But even like Carrie is like kind of a coming of age movie.
Of course it is.
So like I don't know, but I think that none of those movies really hit the type of nuance that The Breakfast Club hits.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know if it's my number one, but I can totally
Not
see.
even Clueless.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I could totally see why Breakfast Club's ranked number one though.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I have. That's it. Wait, what? That's all I have for questions.
Okay. What do I have? I have a bunch, but none of them are that like expansive. I don't think.
Great.
You already answered that one. What clubs were you in high school?
Not many. I didn't really do stuff. In college, I did nothing. I had a job. I worked at Justice. But in high school,
You had something better to do.
I had to fold clothes. In high school, I was sergeant at arms in NHS, but that wasn't really a thing. Like, you didn't do anything.
No. You can put it on the old resume.
That's what I did. And then I was in either math or science club, but I joined 1 month before we went on a trip.
Oh, I did that for
So
two or three
that-
different clubs. Yeah.
So I wasn't really in that. So I did field hockey.
Yeah. That counts. That's more than a club. More than most
Loved
clubs.
that. And then I did the play.
Okay.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
So those are my big
Theater
ones.
kid.
Yeah. I wasn't a theater kid, but I should have been a theater kid. Do you know what I mean?
It would have fit your personality for sure.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. Wait till we cover theater camp.
I love that movie. Yeah, because we saw it early at Sundance.
Not to brag.
I wish I did theater all 4 years, and I didn't. So there you go. But I did field hockey all 4 years, and that I think was a very important thing for me.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, nice. 3 or 4?
Yeah.
I did a couple. I did well, not really. I didn't get into NHS. I had a
Scuffle with the teacher.
I mean, we didn't fight.
John Bender over here.
Yeah, no. There was controversy, but other than that, there was. I'm not mad about it at all.
Yeah, wow.
I was in science club for like a semester. I was in marketing club because I was taking marketing at the time, and then I went to Six Flags. They did the was it DECA?
Yeah.
And they like that competition or whatever that they did, which I didn't go to. Then I was in accounting club. No, I wasn't in accounting club, but
You guys had accounting club?
you know why? I took accounting for college credit, and the teacher, shout out Miss Feldman, allowed me into accounting club without signing up or paying dues so that I could go on the Six Flags trip because I was doing well in accounting.
Man, you went to a great adventure quite a bit.
Those were the same year. I took marketing and accounting the same year.
My question is this. What is accounting?
Well, first of all, I'm the wrong person to ask. We have multiple accountant friends.
Literally, we do.
Listening, hopefully.
It's like, you like tally stuff?
Keeping the books.
That sounds so boring.
And listen, I didn't become an accountant.
It's like a stereotype that accountants are boring, right?
Yeah, our accountant friends aren't boring.
I don't find that to be accurate.
No.
I do find accounting, the idea of it, to be excruciating.
We'll have to have one of our accountant friends sort of break it down for you.
That should be fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it on air. Uncle Nick P is an accountant.
We should have him and Jay fight.
We should have them on to talk accounting. We'll have 0 listens.
That sounds really good to me.
Yeah. Let's see. What did a typical school lunch look like for you? Not school lunch, but what did your lunch typically look like?
Okay, so in high school, in middle school, or in elementary school?
High school.
In high school, what I would do, that's not the fun one. I would bring lunch. So I would do like a sandwich, like peanut butter and jelly.
What do we do middle school? Is that the good one?
Middle school's the good stuff right there. So in middle school, I would buy lunch, but I wouldn't actually buy lunch. I would go to the snack stand in front of the lunch.
Yeah.
And I would buy a cookie for 50 cents. And they would be like the rainbow cookies or like whatever. They were huge.
We would have the black and white cookies.
That's good. We didn't have that.
We were high class.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
In front of that snack stand, actually, 2 girls got into a fight and kicked the art teacher in the face once. So you can tell how high class my high school was.
More than mine.
Yeah.
And then
one of those girls I still see on Instagram. She's doing really well now.
Well, good for her. How's the art teacher doing?
Haven't heard.
So I would get the cookie. I would get chips. Hopefully they had 3D Doritos, nacho cheese flavor. If not, Smart Food popcorn. We'll make do. And then
more than make do.
I love Smart Food, but 3D Doritos. And then I would also get a slushie. They had green apple slushies, and I'd get only one pump of sour because I couldn't handle more than one pump of sour. Yeah,
you're a wimp.
And then, you need a vegetable. So I would go through the actual snack line or lunch line. I'd get French fries.
Yeah, French fries. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And that was my lunch every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Good Lord.
That cost me like $3 every day.
That makes my stomach is turning.
It wasn't good. It wasn't a good.
Yeah. I used to kind of I didn't do that all the time, but I would do the slushy thing. I would do the cookie thing every now and then, or usually Doritos were my regular Doritos. We didn't get 3D, I don't think. Regular Doritos were up there for me. But the thing was, after I got off the bus, my bus stop was in front of a pizzeria, and I would get pizza and a breadstick most days off the bus.
Elementary school, I've had my trials and tribulations there as well. When I would bring lunch, my mom would pack for me like a thermos filled with like Lipton soup or mac and cheese or something. Right. That was like awesome. So whenever she packed it, it was very healthy or delicious or both, right? There'd always be an applesauce in there or yogurt or something like that. Trix yogurt maybe, but not the strawberry banana flavor. But when I bought lunch,
my mom used to get me Go-Gurts.
Go-Gurts?
Yeah.
I like Go-Gurts.
Yeah.
I had 3 issues in elementary school. 3 separate incidents. Number 1 was when I was in kindergarten, I bit down on a piece of pizza, and then it was crunchy. It was weird. And then someone screamed that was at the table with me and said I was bleeding. Turns out I had chewed and swallowed my first tooth.
Wow.
Devastated because the tooth fairy's not going to come. Tooth fairy figured it out, though, so it was okay.
You couldn't text the tooth fairy back in those days.
Number 2, I always used to get peanut butter and jelly. One day, I don't know why I decided to get egg salad. I got an egg salad.
That is chaotic
sandwich.
Behavior from an elementary student.
I've never eaten egg salad to this day. I don't eat egg salad sandwiches. I thought
Egg salad sandwiches are pretty good.
I literally was like, maybe I'll do egg salad today. I think I must have panicked or something.
You had like a brief moment where you became 52 years old.
I took one bite and I started crying. And I was crying because I wasted my money on this lunch. And the lunch lady was super nice. Not only did she just get me the peanut butter and jelly for free, but she brought me to Mom Claire's, and I sat in her second grade.
Who was a teacher, yeah.
Who was a teacher, yeah. And I sat in her second grade classroom and ate my lunch sobbing.
New Jersey residents, this is your tax money at work.
Number three, I bit into a chicken stick. They had like chicken sticks, which were like kind of like chicken fries.
Everybody knows chicken sticks.
It was cartilage.
If you don't, you're stupid.
I was in If you don't, you're dumb. It was in 4th grade. I bit into it. Cartilage.
Horrible.
Hard as bone. Vegetarian that day.
That was the last one?
That was the last day.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So that was elementary school.
Wow.
Yeah. And then high school, I usually just like...
Turns out public schools just turn people into vegetarians.
It's weird. Don't give anybody any... anything with that. We love public schools. I'm public school born, raised, and full grown.
I never didn't go to a public school.
Me either.
And I have a grad degree.
Good for you. Oh my God, I don't.
Shout out Rutgers.
All right. What are you going to talk about your food?
Are you going to ask me about my food?
I mean, I guess.
I don't really remember.
Okay, well, there you go.
I didn't do anything every day.
I had 3 traumatizing
I didn't. I just remember when people fought in the cafeteria.
I remember, did you ever have silent lunch?
No.
We
Our school was too big for silent lunch.
We would get in trouble and then we'd have to do silent lunch. And then you always have the kid who like went like
But the problem with a school with when you're in a class with 500 kids is you have 100 kids that are doing that.
Well, like you knew exactly.
We had the group of kids that would like everybody would sit. They would all sit on the same side of the table, and they would flip. They would like the other side of the table. I would always be on the other side of the table with those kids because I was kind of friends with some of the kids that were like the bad kids. Oh my God. But I had like different like little groups. But every now and then when I would sit with those kids, like I would be the one receiving the. I didn't get bullied or anything. But in this specific instance, in this context, I always found myself on the ground.
Okay, so no silent lunch then.
No, never. I don't think ever.
We had silent lunch a lot.
There's just too many kids for us. We had different lunch periods. Like by the time we got to high school, like within each grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had different ones.
I didn't have lunch with everybody in my grade.
No, I didn't either in high school, but like in middle school I did.
I don't know if we did in middle school because middle school was the same size. We had 4 or 5 elementary schools that all went to the same middle school, and then everybody went to the same high school. So I don't know if they did it differently. I forget if they did it differently in middle school.
Okay.
And we would all just go out like in the front of the school for recess. So like I don't know if there was enough room out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, my school lunches I didn't really have a go-to. My mom would pack me stuff, or I would buy. It just sort of depended on the day.
Yeah.
But I would do the stuff like the black and white cookie and the slushy and all that. But like in addition to lunch, which is probably worse.
Not a nutrient past my lips in middle school. Let me tell you.
Not the blue raspberry slushy. That's fruit.
I mean, the green apple slushy.
I used to get blue raspberry.
That had fruit.
Yeah.
And then I had a vegetable. Yeah. Protein with cheese in the Dorito dust. And then with the cookie, carbs, I don't know, fat, sugar important.
What do you think? This is one I probably should have given you beforehand, but I didn't. What do you think each character's like job would end up being?
Okay, well, let me think about this.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that Claire would have been a teacher.
Oh, you think so?
I do.
That's cool.
I do. I think Allison also might have been an art teacher.
Claire joined an MLM.
Well, yeah, actually.
But she did really good at Mary Kay, and so she drives that pink car.
Yeah. What's the one that we watched the documentary of?
LuLaRoe.
LuLaRoe. I was like, it's not Lululemon.
No. LuLaRoe. She's too classy for LuLaRoe.
Yeah.
She did Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yeah.
And she did really well.
Do you think she was one of the people that was like, that used to be like on Facebook trying to get you to like messaging random people from high school to be like, oh, hey, just join up and you'll make a lot of money?
She made her money before that, so it's all the people under her that are doing that, and she just reaps the rewards.
Right.
That's Claire.
I could see that.
Brian's an engineer.
Just plugging away, doing his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, he does construction, but he's like the guy in the
foreman?
office.
Oh. Yeah, he's not actually out there on the scaffold.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he likes to go to the football games.
Yeah.
Allison is an art teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. But middle school because it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Bender.
You get kicked in the face in front of the snack line.
Would.
That guy was our football coach, or not our. He wasn't our football coach, but he was a football coach for like another district while he was working for us.
That's amazing. Bender, no one heard from, and then he just randomly hit it big on crypto.
Oh, my God, Bender is 1,000% a crypto guy.
He just like he went off the map and then just popped up all of a sudden.
But he's not like a nowadays like Elon Musk crypto guy.
No.
He was like, he knew what Bitcoin was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was mining.
He made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at.
Yeah.
And guess what? Vice Principal Vernon's still there.
No doubt. Well, he said, I'm making $31,000. I got a wife. I got a house. You're not taking this away from me.
Living big.
He treated $31,000, which in 85, it probably was pretty good.
He said, that's a big flex, bro.
Seriously. He was like.
And I'm like, look, and teachers still make that.
Oh, man. Yeah, he said, I make $31,000 and I've got a home,
like,
and I'm not about to throw it all away.
I was like, God, he's bragging. Lucky.
Oh, man.
Where does he work again?
Who is your favorite character?
I don't know. I don't really like any of them.
Brian's my favorite, as I said before.
I like Brian, yeah. I mean, I like all of them, but I don't like any of them.
I think that I would like Brian.
I
would have hung out with Brian. I also might have hung out with Allison.
I always had a soft spot for Claire, actually.
Yeah, she's okay. She's not a fave of mine. Not on my top tier.
I just like when she screams like, shut up, I hate you. Like all the time.
Bender is Andrew's my least favorite, then Bender. But
I like everybody and I don't like everybody, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Brian is iconic.
He's just so like clueless.
Yeah. He has some good lines.
His delivery too, like I said.
He is sort of the audience too, like an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, who are these people?
But like Allison's like too outside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Literally, she should be outside.
Yeah, she
shouldn't have
there.
been there.
Like,
so what happens to these kids come Monday? Like, okay.
I wrote that down and I didn't even ask. It's like they're gonna ignore each other. It's gonna be the same as before.
Well, I'm not even necessarily talking about that. So the library ceiling's like broken, right?
Oh yeah.
No one wrote their essay because Brian wrote, I think it was 96 words. I think I read. Are these kids just back in Saturday detention next week?
It's the 80s. They're not doing anything.
You don't think they're just back in? Maybe that's like kind of the thing. Maybe they'll be back in Saturday detention.
I don't think so.
They're the Breakfast Club.
Nah, they'll just blame it all on Bender.
Blame it on Bender.
Blame it on Bender.
But blame what on Bender?
The destruction of
The
property.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was Bender.
Yeah, but no, Andrew made the one window in the door break.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I just mean like they didn't do anything they were supposed to do. So like,
I'm telling you right now, that was busy work. Vice Principal Vernon does not actually care.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Vice Principal Vernon, I found him to be kind of relatable.
Listen, everyone.
I'm not saying I agree with him.
Everyone in every profession has, and especially if you're in education, has had the frustrations that he has.
Yeah.
And has had, like, if you're a teacher or a former teacher, like he's in administration now, you have had kids talk back to you.
Yeah.
You've had kids that are completely insubordinate for no reason. Like, you're doing your job. Like, I don't know what you want from me. He handles it consistently incorrectly at every turn.
Don't put a kid in a closet.
You can't do that. You can't threaten a kid and say, who are they going to believe? You or me?
You can't like
That's not
you can't like puff your chest in front of a kid and like fake punch him.
It's not the vibe.
Anymore.
In the 80s, I don't know. Now, definitely not. But he is a very specific brand that is very recognizable to me, which I think is probably, again, it's not just an education thing. I think you have in every walk of life people who cling to power where they can get it.
Well, and of course he represents their parents.
Of course.
So that's, I think, what's going on with the parents as well.
He has this humanizing moment, like not very long into the movie, where he like closes the door and then he just kind of like almost like collapses in on himself a little bit. You can see, and man, that is relatable.
Well, that's what I mean about Hughes. Like, he does those little tiny things that add so much to like enrich the characters.
Yes, but my guy, like, just how about you don't sign up for Saturday detention?
I will say, well, he's a vice principal, so it's like, is that somebody who's signing up for it, or is that like he's just kind of his job?
VPs a lot of times are discipline.
Yeah. I think the dumbest character in this movie is the janitor. I think the janitor was meant to be like a sage type character.
He was supposed to be Rick Moranis was supposed to play.
There were a few people who were up for him.
The guy who played him kind of played him a little Bill Murray in Caddyshack.
Bill Murray was also up for him.
Voila.
But I just think that it doesn't work for the groundedness of the rest of the movie. Like, you don't need the janitor to be the guy, because it's like, oh, of course, why would the janitor be? It's just like, I don't know.
Again, it's very 80s.
Yeah, but it didn't. It sort of sticks out in this movie to me.
What I like about it though is that the janitor is friendly, like as far as like they know each other with both Brian and Bender.
Yeah.
And it kind of is interesting. Like, look, it's not like Bender has a problem with every adult.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's people that get through to him. It just, you need to approach it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good touch.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I'm like, why is this guy here?
It just felt like he was meant to have a larger role than he actually did, or a more important role than he actually did.
Also, not very accurate. I don't think custodians work on the weekends like that.
I would hope not, for their own sake.
Yeah, seriously.
You know? Let's see. What's the best quote in the movie? Oh, speaking of the vice principal, don't mess with the bully, young man.
You get the horns.
You get the horns.
That was like the one I thought of.
Well, I think "When you grow up, your heart dies" is a really interesting quote from a high schooler.
Yeah.
I think it's a great high school quote.
Yeah.
Because it's not true.
Of course not.
But
you feel like that's what's going to happen.
What I will say is that when you are a high schooler, or when you're in your late teens, mid-teens, you know, puberty and post-puberty, it feels like your heart is your entire body.
Yeah.
Because everything that you think about is like driven by feeling and by like sort of impulse and stuff like that. When you grow up, when you get more mature, your heart doesn't die, but it's more, you have to purposefully retain your innocence and your connect back to your childhood, because people could get lost in the rat race of working and all that, and then you might end up soulless. But if you stay aware of something like that, like a concept like that, then you're good. Like, you're fine.
Or you can be hardened by experiences
Right.
and things that happen to you.
Right.
And that's something that you want to try to avoid.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that your heart dies per se, but it's harder to maintain that sort of like not necessarily impulsiveness in this sense, but like connection with your emotions and connection with everything like that, and people around you and all that. Mm-hmm. That is so.
You feel a lot less of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't. I feel everything every second of every day.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. But I like that perspective.
The other one that hit me was Andrew when he said, "My God, are we going to be like our parents?" And it's funny because you have some people who are exactly like their parents, and you have some people who go the entire opposite direction of their parents purposefully.
Yeah.
And you have some people who try to, which is where I think I'm kind of at, where you try to draw from your parents and take the stuff that they did really well and stuff that they didn't do well, and sort of combine that and work with it sort of in a moderate type way.
Sure.
But it's funny because that is like, it's such a thing. It's like when people are rebelling against their parents, they're like, am I going to really turn out like that?
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
I never rebelled against my parents. This is not very realistic for me.
I didn't really.
I liked hanging out with my parents.
I
didn't want to like hang out with my peers.
I didn't rebel like in a way like this.
You said, "Oh my God, it's not a face." You're
For
listening
what?
to Hawthorne Heights.
I didn't really listen to Hawthorne Heights.
You were listening to Linkin Park.
Yeah.
You're like, in the end.
Yeah. Caught in the undertow.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good.
Yeah. So that's all the questions I've got.
Beautiful.
Some discussion. First thing I wrote was, I wouldn't be upset if Don't You Forget About Me played in the background for the entire movie. I love that friggin' song.
So good, so good.
I said the biggest change from the 80s to when we were growing up would have been that S symbol drawn everywhere, all over all the lockers and everything.
Oh, like the three
lines.
Three lines.
And then that would have been everywhere.
Yeah. You just like find words that have S in it so that you could use it.
Yep.
Oh, lucky me. First,
Yep.
I could use it in my name. I was like, oh my God.
Speaking of which, best high school show, American Vandal.
That is a great show.
Please, if you haven't seen American Vandal, go watch both seasons on Netflix. It's great.
Season 1 is so good.
Season 2 I found to have a better message to it, but
Yeah.
Season 1 is so funny.
You don't beat it. You can't beat it.
The Shermer varsity jackets look exactly like the ones from my high school.
That's so crazy.
Robbie still has his, so he has to still have
I
his.
hate your high school colors,
Blue
the
and
way
gray?
they look together.
But what about but it works for our TV program, which I don't know if it still is, but it was blue and gray today.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I was blue and gold.
Okay. Yeah, you guys stole the Michigan look. Michigan Wolverines.
Borrowed. For
It's an homage.
a very long time.
I wrote, ha 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 ha, Bender lit his shoe on fire to light a cigarette
Yeah, that's
in the library.
That's pretty wild.
That's like, you don't want to be near that kid.
No.
Wait a minute. I don't remember this. I don't remember what this is from, but I remember cracking up at it probably because we were so tired. Stubby's having a party tonight.
All right. You don't remember we were talking about Stubby?
Well, who said that? Was it Andrew?
Yeah. Andrew
He's like,
said
oh, Stubby's
to Claire,
having a party
"Hey,
tonight."
Stubby's having a party
You gonna be
tonight.
there?
It's gonna be wild."
You're gonna say lit?
I was gonna say lit, and I was like, he would never say lit in 1985.
40 years ago.
So yeah, he said it's gonna be real wild, and so then we ran off on a 10-minute tangent
Just missing like the whole movie.
because you said that Stubby sounds like somebody my dad would say, like, like. Oh yeah, you saw Stubby, and then I was like, "Yeah, Stubby's taking 50-50s at the sweat box. When he's done, he's sitting in the front row, tripping the people from Palmyra." You gotta watch out, cause Stubby's been talking to Lou over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's getting his pork roll, egg, and cheese. Oh my God,
Yep.
Stubby loves when his pork roll is like extra well done. And then people at Bob's know how to do it. He does the pork roll, egg, and cheese, pork roll extra well done, double boost.
And Wayne was telling me the other day that Stubby actually got into a car accident, but he's okay. Everything's fine.
Listen, Stubby, he was over by Denison's. Okay, rest in peace. Rest in peace to his great aunt Loretta. But he was over at Denison's, pulling out right onto Front Street. Bam,
Yeah.
bam.
So he was a little sore, but he's fine. Stubby's doing great.
Stubby knows what he's doing.
That's exactly the type of person that Stubby is. He's like the random like third cousin's best friend that like you hear about through your family.
Poor Tom knows so much about my local town.
Yeah.
Based on people that he doesn't know. Like he found
Many
out.
people I don't know.
I got a text that someone that was like a town person passed away. He knew exactly who we were talking about, and
Never met
he had
them.
never met this person ever.
Yeah.
He knows the neighbor that is like 5 doors down. Her first and last name that always calls my dad about unsavories
mom
on
the
the
wrong
street
name.
and calls my mom by my grandmom's name
Yep.
whenever she calls.
Yep.
He knows her name.
The most dated part of this movie is Bender being grossed out by Claire's lunch, which was
Sushi. And he was like, "What's sushi?"
Well, I mean, it's interesting because back in the 80s, it was not a thing. Like, obviously, people didn't eat sushi like they did now, but it was seen as almost like a status thing,
Yes.
which is the point in this case.
kind of like a
because-
preppy,
Right.
like, yeah, waspy thing.
Yeah.
Also,
so it worked for the movie.
Midwestern, it probably wouldn't hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Illinois
But
sushi.
Chicago has the river.
The river.
What's in that? Is that salt water?
In the river? And then in Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
It's not a place where you would.
People go to the beach in Chicago.
In 1985, that's not a place that I would really expect
Chicago
to have
has
the
good
nicest
food.
sushi. It does now. Whatever. I also wrote that.
Portillo's, baby.
So I said that the janitor, the actor who plays the janitor, you can tell it's a movie because like he's a really good looking guy. He's got a bad hairline, but he's a good
I
looking
was
guy.
about to say, need some Rogaine, but yeah.
As a janitor, he's like probably in the top tier of like best looking janitors of all time. Like Matt Damon's probably above him, but like
For
in
Goodwill
Good Will
Hunting.
Hunting. But like when you think of a janitor, that's not the guy you think of.
I don't listen. We have wonderful custodians at my school.
Well, this guy is a Hollywood actor. I'm saying, I'm not dissing the average custodian.
You're talking about like custodians on TV
Yeah.
and movies.
Yeah.
What other ones do you know?
Filch.
He's a groundskeeper. No, that's
No.
Hagrid.
Yeah.
Well, you have Miss Norris too.
Yeah. I don't know. I just was like, I also just commented that the movie fits as like a Lost Generation type movie.
Yeah.
There's lots of the theme of rebellion, and it seems like a response to like the hippie era of the 70s.
Well, yeah, especially because
when you're getting like that era of boomers that are the parents that like don't know how to emotionally connect with their children.
But also, John Hughes was relatively conservative too.
Yeah,
so
he was.
it is an interesting view that
Yeah.
way, because a lot of times we get pictures that like of youth and stuff that are more progressive, and we don't as much here.
Yeah.
But that is very much a giant swath of America.
Yeah, it is.
Swath a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it means like a wide variety.
Wonderful. So I also really enjoy that about Hughes movies, is that it's a picture into
I wrote it's a great snapshot
a
of this
very particular group of people.
era.
And that's interesting to
Yeah.
me. It's something, because in New Jersey, it's, I don't know, it's Midwestern values and Midwestern just vibes are a little different than, hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah. Which we just watched Midnight Cowboy the other day too, which is what that quote is from. If you don't know that, you're stupid.
So that was from Midnight Cowboy,
The first X-rated movie to win Best Picture.
improved by Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
If you don't know, learn. Become educated.
Okay, some trivia. Then we'll wrap it up here. So when they're all on the floor and they're all telling stories about why they're in detention, it was not scripted at all.
They just had to make it up.
He said to ad-lib, and they all ad-libbed.
Ali Sheedy's queen then.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You're just lying the whole time.
That's so good.
Judd Nelson stayed in character off camera. He went method.
Jeremy Strong method.
Bullied the crap out of Molly Ringwald. John Hughes nearly fired him, but Paul Gleason, who played the vice principal, defended him and saying he was just a good actor trying to get into character.
I am so not into that.
I'm not into that when it's affecting other people. Like, if you want to do your own thing and be like weird by yourself, go do your thing.
Daniel Day-Lewis literally slapped Sally Field in the face.
Yes, and called her Mary Todd the whole time.
Don't need that.
When they were filming Lincoln.
Like, Jared
Brutal.
Leto sending people stuff in the mail when he
Brutal.
was like, we don't need
Brutal. And that was after they rapped.
that. He's so
That has
annoying.
nothing to do with him acting. Judd Nelson improvised the fist. He was just supposed to walk into the sunset, so to speak, and John Hughes asked him to sort of play around with some actions. And when he was done and they were finishing up, Nelson threw his fist up, and he didn't like run it by anybody or anything. Like, he just went out and did it, and everyone loved it. And obviously, that's like an iconic
It's the
symbol of the 80s.
It's
Yeah.
the moment.
Ali Sheedy based some of Allison's quirks on Sean Penn because she had just worked with him in another movie.
It's not surprising at all, actually.
It was originally suggested that there would be several sequels to this movie, occurring every 10 years, in which the Breakfast Club would get back together, like the Before series.
Little before sunrise.
Before
action.
its time. This didn't come to pass due to the volatile relationship between John Hughes and Judd Nelson. Hughes stated that he would never work with Nelson again. Also, it was unclear whether or not Hughes still held ill will against his oft-cast Molly Ringwald because they had a falling out in the late 80s when she decided to be like, I don't want to be in teen movies anymore. She had been in 3 already with him. and she wanted to do some more adult roles, and he got upset at that. He also got upset at Anthony Michael Hall for turning him down for something in another movie.
Sounds like a certain someone's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, how many times can you before you look in the mirror, John? Anthony Michael Hall hit a growth spurt during production, and apparently Judd Nelson said Hall was shorter than him at the start and taller than him at the end of it. So I wonder if you can kind of see that in the movie, or if they had to do anything to like camouflage it. Stanley Kubrick watched The Breakfast Club 4 times, and he was really impressed by Anthony Michael Hall. He compared Hall to a young Spencer Tracy, and he wanted to cast him in his next film, which was Full Metal Jacket. And they negotiated for a while. Hall ended up turning him down, and the part went to Matthew Modine. But I love that Kubrick watched this movie and was like, I need that guy.
Remember when I watched Stranger Things and I thought that David Harbour was Matthew Modine for like the entire show?
And Matthew Modine was just the villain, right? He was the guy with the white hair.
Yeah.
In season 1.
Turns out I am the loser.
Simple Minds, the band who did Don't You Forget About Me, they were so unimpressed with it.
Yeah, they turned it down. That
the lead singer recorded the la 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 part just as gibberish as like a placeholder. And he planned to replace it with proper lyrics the next day. But the rest of the band was like, we should just keep it there. And then it ended up being obviously like
I love that
an
part.
iconic part of the song.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how some of those things sort of just happen.
Yeah.
That was not the intention. Casting. For Bender, John Cusack auditioned several times.
That tracks. And Cusack was in 16 Candles.
Yeah.
So that makes
Hughes
sense.
decided to go in a different direction. And the casting director convinced him to pick Judd Nelson. Emilio Estevez was originally going to play Bender.
Yeah, but nobody could really
Nobody could play Andrew. He was the best Andrew. Nicolas Cage was considered, but they couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey auditioned. He would have been wackier.
Would have been interesting.
Yeah. Andrew. If John Hughes couldn't get Emilio Estevez to play the role, the other guys on his list were, the who's who of the 80s. Michael J. Fox, Jim Carrey, again, weirdly. Tom Cruise, Matthew Broderick, or Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe would fit for me.
Yeah. Cruise would fit too, but he was probably too big. Risky Business was the same year, right?
83.
Or 83. So he was probably already too big. Broderick fits perfectly because he cast him in the next movie.
Right.
For Claire, Robin Wright auditioned, and Jodie Foster was considered. For Allison, Brooke Shields was considered. And for Carl the janitor, Rick Moranis was originally cast. He grew a thick beard and decided to play the character. I love the phrasing. Decided to play the character with a Russian accent. Hughes planned to let Moranis reinterpret the character, but producer Ned Tannen so vehemently opposed Moranis' comical creative liberties that he had Rick replaced.
It is weird.
With John Capellos, who is the guy who ended up.
But listen, who am I to deny Rick Moranis what he wants?
Bill Murray and John Candy were also considered. I guess maybe if it was an actor with more that ended up being more famous, it might have been a better role looking back on it, watching it in 2023.
Yes.
Because this guy's just a nobody now.
Yeah, he's like a kind of a
I'm sure he was in a lot of stuff, and he was good for the role. It's just I feel like it wasn't what the role was intended to be.
I agree.
What else we got here? That's all the trivia. I have just the Ebert review. As I mentioned before, he gave it 3 out of 4. He says, these kids have nothing in common, and they have an aggressive desire not to have anything in common. In ways peculiar to teenagers who sometimes have a studious disinterest in anything that contradicts their self-image, these kids aren't even curious about each other. Not at first, anyway. But then the day grows longer, and the library grows more oppressive, and finally the tough kid can't resist picking on the prom queen, and there's a series of exchanges. Nothing that happens in the Breakfast Club is all that surprising. The truths that are exchanged are more or less predictable, and the kids have fairly standard hang-ups. And this was written when he saw it in 1985. It comes as no surprise, for example, to learn that the jock's father is a perfectionist, or the prom queen's parents give her material rewards but withhold their love. But the Breakfast Club doesn't need earth-shaking revelations. It's about kids who grow willing to talk to one another, and it has a surprisingly good ear for the way they speak. He says, ever noticed the way lots of teenage girls repeating a conversation say she goes rather than she says? Apparently it has a bunch of little dialogue.
That's cool.
Little things like that. And he wrote, the only weaknesses in Hughes' writing are in the adult characters. The teacher is one-dimensional in one note, and the janitor is brought on stage with a potted philosophical talk that isn't really necessary. Typically, the kids don't pay much attention. And I think he's right on that. I like the vice principal, but
I do too.
But I can see that he's a pretty standard character. Ebert's got it right once again.
Love him.
What else we got? Anything? What do you have any? Does this make Baby's first watch list?
Listen, the scene where they're all dancing,
It's great.
it's amazing, and our baby was rocking to it.
He was. He was going
bouncing. He was like waving his arms.
Yep.
He was bouncing up and down. It makes Baby's first watch list. Yeah.
Yep, that's the 44th movie to make the watch
Made
list.
it in a row.
Yep.
But it actually, of course, we would have to wait a little bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's context that needs to be
Yes.
addressed
Yes.
and stuff like that.
But
Ebert said this should have been PG-13. It's rated R. He said it should have been PG-13 because mature teenagers can understand it.
I think it's a great movie for teens, for older teens especially.
Yeah. It's rated R only for language.
I would have absolutely no issue having like my kid as long as he was, normal maturity.
Yeah.
Watching it even
At 16, 15.
even younger. I watched it in middle school. Like kids they can hear a couple bad words.
Right.
So I understand that.
What are your takeaways?
My takeaways.
Humana.
No, I actually very much, weirdly enough, I think that the janitor got it right. In it where he says the kids are the same.
Yeah.
You're the one who changed. I say it. How many times do I say this?
Yeah, I agree.
I say it all the time to people when like you have adults. And even we're getting to an age now where people are starting to be like this.
Our peers, yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, these kids nowadays, blah, 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 Gen Z with TikTok and blah, blah. I am telling you right now, the kids are the same.
Yeah.
They're the same as they always have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Were they a little bit different when schools opened back up after a year of being closed? Yeah. But then guess what? 2 months in, everybody's the same.
Right.
The kids are the same. You're just getting older.
Yep.
And more annoyed at everything.
More annoyed at everything, and also you're putting on your rose-colored glasses for 10, 15 years ago.
That's exactly it. We got the same criticisms.
Yes.
The people that grew up in the Gen X did.
Yep.
Like everybody.
The grunge kids were like supposed to be the end of society.
Exactly.
In the early 90s.
I just watched, I was telling you yesterday, a docuseries, 3 episodes on Woodstock 99. And it was like, these 18-year-olds in 1999 that liked Limp Bizkit and Korn.
Think about like when heavy metal came out in like
End
the
of
80s.
the world. Yes.
Same thing.
Same exact
The
thing.
hippies in the 70s. It was everything. There's always been something.
Always. And so it's funny in the 80s to have that same exact line.
Yep.
When nowadays it's like, oh, well, back in my day.
Right.
And for us, it's even back in my day. I'm like, so we're just ignoring all the stuff that happened when we were in high school.
Right.
It's all the same.
You don't remember the art teacher getting kicked in the face? Because I do.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Here I am, still to this day.
Like, come on. So that's my takeaway is that the kids are the same. The kids are all right. They'll figure it out. And that's exactly, I think, a big part of this movie is like, they're going through it. Everybody goes through it. But they're more resilient than most adults are.
My thing is more from the parent perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically that, like, I don't necessarily need our baby, any future children, to be exactly like me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to hold them to that standard. I hope to set a good example, but I don't want to be the reason why they feel pressure to succeed. I don't want to be the one that's being overbearing and making problems worse, because I would rather have a kid who got B's than a kid who got A's and was super upset and wanted to hurt themselves,
Of course.
Like that's sort of like the takeaway there. So like if I'm ever in a spot where you feel like I'm putting too much pressure on you, let me know.
Beautiful.
Sure, we can talk.
I want my kid to be different from me because I want them to be good at singing and become famous.
Yeah, I want them to be good at sports.
Want them to, actually be good at math, know how to add. That would be like really good, actually.
Yep. All right, so that is The Breakfast Club. I love this movie. I'll definitely watch it again. Next week, Next week, so we did a bunch of
We're
80s
going
movies.
classic.
We did a bunch of 80s movies for April, just randomly. So next week, we are going to watch our most recent film yet. It's 2023's Megan.
I can't wait. I've been waiting to see Megan.
If you don't know, Megan
Wait. Are we watching the PG-13 version or the non-rated version?
We're watching whichever one's on Peacock because
That's
it's
easy
free.
enough. Yes. The free version.
So if you don't know, Megan is a movie about like an AI doll that becomes sentient and it just like kills anybody who gets in between itself and its human.
I can't wait.
And
she does like a TikTok dance.
Yeah, she's like kind of jokey and all that too. It's like supposed to have some humor to it.
It's camp.
It's on. Allison Williams is in it. It's on Peacock, as I mentioned. So you should watch it before next week because I think it'll be fun.
I can't wait.
We can sort of do a group watch together in a way.
Not a big horror movie, but actually I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we did like the Halloween stuff, like that all October, Scary October, I loved it.
I don't think that this movie we're going to be talking with necessarily the same way we talk about Halloween.
No, I mean all the movies for October.
Yeah, the Nightmare on Elm Street and all those. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And then for the rest of the month, because now it's time to announce our May slate, we're going to be doing Vertigo after that, which is like always on like the #1 movie of all time.
It's Hitchcock.
Up there, Hitchcock. We're going to be doing a Mother's Day special, which is currently secret because we don't know what we're going to do yet for sure.
We have options.
We have multiple options. There's going to be an episode. We just don't exactly know what we're doing yet.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to watch Boys in the Hood, which I've never seen.
John Singleton.
I've
never seen it either, actually. Is Ice Cube in that?
I think that was like his
right.
first movie. And we're going to end the month because there's 5 Tuesdays this month in May. And it's going to be Miss Congeniality.
That's an Aaron middle school classic. Man.
I have seen it before.
You watched it like...
I don't know if I've seen it all the way through.
You watched it with like commercials and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the experience at this point, though.
It's always on Bravo.
I'm not the biggest Sandra Bullock fan, but I'll give it a shot.
I like this movie a lot.
Okay, yeah, so that's our...
And let's bring it full circle. What state does she represent in the competition? New Jersey.
Yeah, the great state of NJ.
The best state.
The Garden State.
The Garden State. Oh, I didn't even mention that. Okay, let's recap.
The movie Garden State?
No. Let's recap here.
That's Zach Braff.
John Hughes goes hard for suburbs of Chicago. I go hard for the best state in the U.S. of A., New Jersey, #1 in K-12 education. That's a fact. #4 in healthcare. Yeah, not a problem in New Jersey. You are low crime. You are geographically diverse. You want to go to the mountains? Okay, you're there.
I think I'm just going to turn the theme song on in the middle of this.
You want to go to the beach? No problem. Oh, you want to see tulips? Yeah, I saw tulips last weekend. It's there in New Jersey.
We've got a Real Housewives franchise.
We have the Real Housewives franchise. Yeah, we do actually.
All right. So those are the movies for next month. For some reason, Aaron went on another New Jersey tangent, but
okay, do not look up the fiscal responsible level though. Because I looked up like the U.S. News and Report, we're 49th. I think it's called fiscal stability. We're 49th, so don't look at that.
Yeah, so that is The Breakfast Club, and next week we're going to be doing Megan.
Shout out Megan.
Shout out
paying high taxes in New Jersey.
Yes. So rate, review, subscribe, follow, do the whole thing. Share our stuff. I don't usually say that. Share our reels and TikToks and stuff. I don't know. If you want to. Yeah. Do whatever you want.
Forget about
it. We will see you next week for Megan.
Okay,
see
bye.
you later.